what I love to say is our mission for the small business, be the good champion and make the playing field level. Give them technology that allows them to compete with the biggest player in their local town. And let's return service to what it always should have been. The best service should win and get that customer as a repeat customer. And it doesn't matter if you're a national brand or somebody locally. And if you're on WorkWave technology, that's what we try to do, as well as have them beat everyone that's not on WorkWave technology. So.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Business Savvy, our educational podcast for field service and home service business owners. I am your host, Nick Werker. Now, in this episode of Business Savvy, we're going to be putting our spotlight on one of today's most popular field service management softwares. WorkWave empowers service-oriented companies to reach their full potential through scalable, cloud-based software solutions that support every stage of their business lifecycle. And for this conversation, I'm really excited to welcome WorkWave's CEO to the program. David Giannetto is here and is going to give us all the inside details on what WorkWave is able to provide growing businesses. David, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Nick, it's good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
It's an honor for us to be a part of this. So can you tell us a little bit about your business background and your journey to becoming the CEO at WorkWave?
Certainly. So just by sheer coincidence, I started off my career as a service operations manager. So kind of in the role that our customers most often find themselves. I was an officer for 4 years in the Army following college, and then I became a service ops manager for about 7 years, I think it was, and then did a bunch of work in business consulting, and that really helped me understand this kind of synergy between technology and driving business results, how you use data. And they were kind of it was a good contrast with my operations background, and eventually I ended up in software. And by sheer coincidence, in-field service software, which is generally what folks would consider WorkWave, but WorkWave is a real blend of sales and marketing, field service, payments, finance. It's a real holistic solution provider for our customer base. So my background is just by sheer coincidence, fits nicely with what we do at WorkWave.
That's awesome. It's always interesting to hear people's background and like how they got to where they are. So I find it interesting that your time in the service kind of brought you to where you're at. But I want to talk about, so for a lot of business owners that want to get into using a software for their company, it can be a big change. It's like an overwhelming process for them. So I want to start off today by asking if you can give us sort of a simplified explanation about what it is that WorkWave does and what it's able to provide for these field service companies.
Sure. We provide all the software and software-related services they need to help them grow their business, service their customers, and maximize their money. So we try to create like an ecosystem that the customer can exist within, because as they're growing their business, a lot of their focus needs to be on the service itself. So it doesn't matter if they're doing pest control, anything in the green industries, lawn care, cleaning, janitorial, HVAC repair. It doesn't matter what they're doing. They're mostly focused on that service. And if you're a small business owner, that's probably how you got into it and you enjoyed doing that kind of thing. So running the business, especially growing the business, can be a very foreign thing. So we try to help them in all the different areas of their business so that they have one good, reliable, trustable partner that's looking out for them and helping them along the way, because it's the more they grow, certainly the more we succeed, but it gets them in the WorkWave family, and then we can keep them in there regardless of whether they're a small business or one of the largest service companies in the world. We scale all the way up to true enterprise levels.
I love that. That's not dissimilar from what we do here. So obviously I answer the phones, or not myself, but we have a call center that answers the phones for field service companies. And it doesn't matter what you do, right? You want to be focused on doing the best job that you possibly can for your customers. So make sure that when you're not available, because you're focusing on that somebody's able to answer your phones. So,
Yeah.
I like that you're sort of like a soup to nuts solution when it comes to empowering people to focus on what they specialize in, which is the actual service. So
Yeah.
when you get the chance to speak with someone managing a growing field service business, what's like your pitch to them as to why WorkWave is the software that they can't afford to be without?
Well, very quickly, if they're growing their business, they're going to need software. They're just not going to be able to handle the workload at any scale if they don't have technology helping them. And more, the end consumer, whether it's a homeowner or a commercial facility they're working in, they have certain expectations on the way they interact with a service provider. They want text messaging, they want emails, they want a certain level of comfort about who's coming to their home. They want it well scheduled the first time without a lot of need for phone calls and changing. They want flexibility in how they pay. So technology is at the heart of providing a good service experience, because it's about more than just showing up and doing a great repair or service, that first time you arrive there and building a relationship on site. Today, the customer's journey, as we would call it, starts from the very first time they see your company all the way through that service event, and then how you interact with them afterwards, because you really want them coming back to you time after time, whenever they have a need. You become that trusted partner. So you can't really do that at any level of scale without having technology helping you. And once you get past that initial service and you have a small business, you quickly realize that the thing that's going to keep you awake is growing your business. So you have to go get new customers. And now you're talking about a lot of digital marketing, which is a very foreign concept for a lot of service people, some physical marketing. You've got to carry them through that sales cycle as quickly as possible, hopefully even on one phone call. You're convincing them you're the right person, and then you get them that quote or that proposal very quickly, delivered via some form of technology to them with some form of digital sign off. Then it schedules it, and you dispatch, you roll a truck. So you really can't provide a great service experience without technology, and you really are going to have a challenging time growing your business without some form of technology, and then some services probably to help you along the way. Through the marketing world can be pretty complex for a service provider today.
Yeah, I've used this example before, and it's funny because now it's like 2 years ago. So I had this pest control company that I signed up with, and I thought that they were the best. So I signed up for, I think it was 4 treatments of my property per year to get rid of like ticks and all that stuff for my dog,
Yeah.
and it's all safe and natural. And after the first contract was over, they would send me a picture of who's coming to my house, what time. They were always on time. I don't know what happened, but they started showing up like too often. They would show up like once a month instead of 4 times a year. And then they would call me up with all these like billing problems. And I was like, I didn't change my credit card or anything. So I don't know what they're using, but to me, when I would call them and ask for help, it seemed like all this information was really siloed. That like the customer service person didn't understand why the dispatch team had rolled another truck to my house, or why the billing department wasn't able to communicate with this person to who knows, right? So I ended up canceling. It's not because they did a bad job. I think they did a great job. I think their texts were really nice. Everybody sent me what they were going to look like. I knew who was coming to my house. But yeah, if you just can't be consistent and rely on that technology, unfortunately, you're going to lose a customer. And if you do that enough, you're going to lose a bunch of customers.
Yeah, and you think, oh, okay, they lost a customer. That's unfortunate. But think of what happened to that service company in the journey that led them to lose you as a customer. They were rolling trucks that they shouldn't have rolled. That's one of the most expensive things a service provider can do, is put somebody in the field. They were misbilling you. Then they were calling you. So probably you didn't sign a contract for monthly treatment. You don't want to pay for monthly treatment. So therefore they're losing all of the chemicals and consumables that they used on your property. So it was a whole series of wasted money inside of that company, let alone the other customers that they were disappointing, that led up to just you and then they lost you, but you were grossly unprofitable for them as a company long before they lost you because they were just doing too many things wrong. And that's the problem with scaling. It's kind of fine if you're a very small business owner, you've got one truck, maybe two trucks. You meet in your kitchen every morning. My grandfather, he had a construction company and they went out and did construction work every day. They would meet every morning in the kitchen, and my grandmom would make coffee. And I can remember as a kid seeing the gruff construction guys hanging out in the trucks, and that works fine for a little while. But then you start to grow and the complexity comes on, and you really need technology to help you, because the small business owners are almost working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just to keep their head above water as it is. And then once you grow, boy, it can get out of hand really quickly.
Yeah, that's why I alluded to it's so important not to have information siloed, and to have each of the different features and parts of your business sort of be able to carry over. So I feel that this transitions nicely, because I wanted to ask you, obviously WorkWave is built to handle a number of different industries, HVAC, pest control, lawn care, plumbing, all the stuff we're talking about. Would it be fair to assume that businesses from across different industries end up using your company's software in different ways? So what I mean by that is, are there certain features that an HVAC company might lean on more heavily than a pest control business or a lawn care company, and vice versa?
There definitely is. You're spot on. And that's why we have multiple platforms that we deliver out in the market. One focuses on pest control, another on the green industries, lawn care. And these are brands that a lot of the folks listening or watching will know: PestPack and Pest Control. It's a dominant technology. About 65% of the industry is on PestPack. About 65% of the green industries are on Real Green. 75% of cleaning and janitorial are on our team software, WinTeam platform. About 80% of the global security workforce is on our team software security solution. A lot of folks will know ServMan in the HVAC, plumbing, mechanical space. So we have platforms that are designed for each vertical. And then we have a separate platform or version of the platforms that really makes itself a better fit for small business owners. So you have PestPack Lite, Real Green Lite, Team Lite, because you need a more simple, streamlined version, very mobile-oriented solution for small businesses as they go in the field. So we've really built our technology around the specific needs of individual service industries. And then within that, each of those will lean in a different direction. If you're going to go out and do HVAC, plumbing, electrical type work, installing air conditioners, for example, you need to manage parts differently than somebody who does pest control and lawn care, because that's mostly about providing a service, managing chemicals, reporting, because there are controlled substances that you're applying out for treatment. There's a lot of oversight that you have to be aware of, a lot of rules you have to follow, and that would be baked into that software. So each vertical for us has a solution, and then we do differentiate between large commercial providers and small providers, and the smaller ones tend to focus on residential applications versus large commercial applications.
Yeah, that makes sense. Obviously, commercials have a lot bigger of a need than residential.
Because the locations are a lot more complex, so you get more complexity in the treatment.
So can you tell us a little bit about scheduling and dispatch services that your software provides, and how they can make life simpler for the smaller business owners and their employees out in the field?
Sure. There probably is nothing that you could buy from WorkWave after you make the initial investment that gives you a higher return on investment than the scheduling and the route optimization that we have. I think we're pretty well recognized at having the best route optimization of any technology provider supporting these industries. And it does not just make your routes the most efficient, taking into account the variables like what skill sets do different techs have, when does the customer expect you to be there, when are they open, closed. You know, a restaurant might not want pest control truck rolling up to the front of the restaurant at lunchtime or dinner time. So there's a lot of nuances to how you optimize a route. But then it also helps the actual technician too, because the technicians are much like the business owners, and they got into this because they like the service aspect of it. They like coming into a home and helping somebody. They don't want to be driving and sitting in traffic more than they have to. And when you're optimizing your routes, the technicians tend to actually be happier, which is important today because technicians are hard to get. They're hard to keep. They're very expensive today. So anything you can do to make them happier and more comfortable is going to help your business. And it applies across all aspects. And you mentioned the value of integration. So if you meet a potential customer and then you turn them into a customer, that customer is not just in the sales and marketing technology that we provide to business owners, but then that becomes the customer in the service application. So now your customer's set up, you see everything that they purchased, you see their notes, you know that they ordered 4 times a year, not monthly. It's all attached. And you certainly don't have to use everything that WorkWave offers. You could go get a specialized sales and marketing solution to help you, but then you don't get that seamless translation from sales and marketing into the actual operations. And especially for a small business, it can get overwhelming to have to do duplicate entry and keep track. You've got a lot of notes. And then every time you make a mistake, you're on the hook to pay for it. And it slowly eats away at your profitability.
We will be right back with the show after this short message.
My name is Joe Fisher. I'm the owner of Victorian Fence, located in Long Island, New York. I've been a Ring savvy customer for 5 years. They're very professional. They know exactly what to say. And when customers call, they have no idea that it's a separate answering service. With a product like Fence, if they don't get a live person, they're just going to call the next fence company. With Ring Savvy, I never miss a potential new customer. Ring Savvy is an extension of our business. I like to answer my phone, but during those real busy times of year, I can let it ring on my cell phone one time. And if I'm not able to get it, it will be forwarded to Ring Savvy, where a professional sounding person will answer and take my phone call. Ring Savvy really helped me to be present whether I'm at work or at home. My kids are young, so when I'm home, I don't want to be on the telephone and trying to resolve issues. Ring Savvy is definitely giving me a better quality of life.
So I want to discuss marketing with you because I find it interesting that in my purview, I see you as sort of like a CRM, right? So I think that having a marketing aspect of your technology is really interesting. So can you tell us some more of the marketing solutions that WorkWave is able to provide?
A lot of the technicians that start in our industries get certified, or at least they get their experience working for a bigger company. And since we have such large market share, most of the time they're on our technology, and then they go out and they want to stay in the WorkWave family because they're familiar with it. And they use our field service solution, whatever it is, and they start to build their business. And sometimes that bigger company even lets them steal a few customers that they can get started with, and they don't raise a fuss about it. Everyone's pretty friendly in the industries we support. But then slowly the business owner starts to lose a few customers, and they realize, oh my God, I've got to get more customers or this isn't going to work. It's not just about doing the service. Mm-hmm. And that's really what starts to keep them up at night. That really what our customers want us to do is help them grow their business more so than do the service, because they're good at the service. That's why they got into it. They like that part of it. And then when you add in digital marketing, it becomes very, very challenging. So our sales and marketing solutions have really been an area that we've invested more and more in. And it starts with sending surveys out to the customer so that customer can tell you that you did a good job. And then you can ask them to post an online review. And when you post an online review and you do that consistently, and you need technology to help you get consistently good reviews, right? It's not like asking your friends to do 5 and then they're a year old and Google's holding it against you. So if you want good rankings locally, which is where most of your leads are going to come from, then you have to have consistent online reviews. So we integrate that in. So think that service is over. The technician, that the best technicians are standing in the home still and saying, is everything okay? Are we good to go? Hey, would you mind giving us a feedback? Would you mind doing the survey for us? And boom, they send them a link right to their phone. They fill it out. At the end, it said, are you okay posting this online? How many stars would you give us on Google or whatever? That drives their ranking, and that starts to create their pipeline. And then we actually have a pipeline management technology. If it's a small business, they can use WorkWave websites and within 15 minutes establish a Google-friendly, search engine-friendly, professional-looking website with the right payments widgets, scheduling widgets, and they can take leads in from that. They can post their reviews to that automatically. And now they're building a funnel, and then they can utilize digital marketing campaigns to drip feed. So when they lost you, they could have tried to win you back with a win back campaign, or if they had you for stink bugs in the spring, they could try to get you for spiders in the fall, something like that. And every industry is cyclical that way. So those 5 different marketing products are highly integrated with the actual platforms themselves, all in an effort to help the company grow. And that's not even looking at how they maximize their money, because the more money they keep of the revenue, the more profit they keep, the more they can fuel that business to invest more in marketing, which creates more customers. And that's how you really start to grow as a small business and get a little bit larger size. And with that additional size comes some safety. But you certainly have to understand how the technology is going to help you do that.
So to me, it sounds like you have an all-in-one solution that can really empower business owners to not only grow, but to stay organized and just make their lives easier. I can't imagine like being so disorganized and running a company, and like you said, trying to stay afloat, right?
Yeah.
So having said all that, and having the solution that you have, I wonder if you have some favorite customer success stories from your time working with WorkWave.
Yeah, I think it depends on which type of customer you're talking about, because there's a very big difference in what we call, a very small business. Somebody parks their vans in their driveway and that's, they close the van and their business is done for the day, but now they're going to go in the house and they're going to work 4 more hours trying to collect on people who haven't paid them, make phone calls to schedule. So when you take somebody that calls you and they're what we think of as like a mom and pop shop, and they're really just drowning, you see it in all aspects of their life because their job is overwhelming their life. So they're skipping on time with family and friends. They're exhausted. There's no break, because if you don't earn, you don't put food on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can start to see the stress come off of that person, because we do, hands-on handboarding. There's somebody onboarding, working with every new customer of ours to have conversations with them. They can take online classes, university classes through WorkWave, but there's an actual human, a person from WorkWave on the phone with them, helping them get going. And when you start to see that pressure come off, then you see the relief, and then you start to, then their head starts to think differently. How can I get more efficient? How do I keep more of my money? I'm working this hard anyway. And then they can use the technology. And if they're in the Northeast, like I am in New Jersey, they can be sitting on the beach in Florida and still schedule, still dispatch, still send emails for people who haven't paid them, all right from a tablet sitting on the beach. So it can really be freeing when they do that. But then they hit a threshold, in the mid-market, we have a lot of customers that have been with us 15 years or more. I mean, they really stay loyal to our applications, but the technology has changed so much. So just last week, I went to a customer that's been with us for over 15 years. They're frustrated by the software, but we brought a team in and sat down with them and said, it's more about the communication. We're not doing a good enough job telling you how you needed to adapt the solution over 15 years of changes in technology.
Mm-hmm.
So let's all come together around a table, talk about where you're frustrated, lay out a plan. Let's re-onboard you, have our onboarding team sit with you and make sure you're using it properly, that you're getting the most value for the money you're already paying to WorkWave. And then you start to see like the stress come off, because a lot of times they didn't even realize that the technology already solved the problems. And in some ways, shame on WorkWave for not having solved that problem more simply on how you can utilize every new feature, because we are constantly releasing new functionality and moving the technology ahead. I mean, we're kind of relentless about moving the technology ahead and outpacing our competition. So customers can get left behind. And I think that feels good when you can see the pressure come off, because the thing about service is it's a very people business. You know, you're standing in somebody's living room making a promise. I can help you. I can solve your problem. And we're kind of in that business too. Yes, it's technology driven, but that business owner is still looking at us and going, can you help? Because I'm getting killed over here and I'm working my butt off. And you're making a promise on a very personal level to help them and be a good partner to them. And that's when it feels the most rewarding.
I like that your favorite story is not like a success story of your customer, but it's like a failure on WorkWave's part, but how you were able to really practice what you preach, right?
Yeah.
Re-onboard the customer and provide the solution that you're really talking about, you know? And I've had that happen countless times here. Well, they'll call and say, oh, it's not working for me anymore. My calls aren't, you know, you're not answering my phone calls. And we're like, wow, let us look into that. Come on, let's void these charges. Let's make sure that we have the connection set up properly in the way that you need it. And unless you don't want to do that, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. You can leave, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
having that opportunity to speak with a customer and make it right, I think is more important than, I think it's more important than just giving like the money back guarantee. Is really trying to actually follow through with what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, we're the industry leader for a reason, right? Our technology is the broadest, deepest. Maybe it's the smoothest. Maybe it's the most integrated for all those things. But, you know, we make mistakes. What we run is a very complicated business with 6 platforms that are fully integrated with each other with a lot of add-on products and services. You know, we have the largest digital marketing team in Colmarch. We have the largest outsourced sales center in Slingshot. So we are a mainstream in all these industries. And if we upset a customer enough that they want to leave us, that's very impactful to their business. You know, number one, we are the leader for a reason. So now they're going out and running their business on something that maybe isn't as good. But at the same time, the change itself is hugely distracting and impactful to a business when they have to change technology. So I try to tell the folks in WorkWave that, you know, we do the best we can and we're going to make mistakes. There's going to be times where things happen, but when we do make mistakes, just be really good at communicating very quickly and frequently with the customer, and then tell them what you're going to do to fix it, and then follow through and fix it. And if you do that, the customers are very understanding. They will stay with you and work with you. On one hand, because they feel good that like you're taking it seriously, you know the pain you're causing them. And the other is on the other side, they don't want to change anyway, because the last thing they want to do is make their own business more complicated with a major change of technology. So we see this all the time in service companies, and it's the same for WorkWave. If you go to a home and you mess up, it's okay. Let's say you then send a survey and somebody says back to you, the service stinked. Your guy was terrible. He didn't solve the problem. If you as a small business owner, let's say, make the phone call and say to them, I will make it right. And you go there, or you send a supervisor, you send a serious tech to that house the next day, and you solve the problem, you apologize, you make sure the homeowner is comfortable, they will be a bigger fan of yours going forward than if they just gave you 5 stars and moved on to the next problem they had. It is, as you have with every failure, the chance to earn greater loyalty. And it feels counterintuitive, but you know, as a homeowner yourself, you know, all of us here have had service people in our homes that have messed up. And when you didn't have to fight a battle to have it made right, you were just so relieved and you really felt better about it. So it's the same for us. You know, we're in a service business as well, just a different type of service.
I don't think there's a single person who's going to watch this who's going to disagree with that story at all. But speaking of you guys being relentless and sort of trying to upgrade your technology and all of that, I'm curious if you could tell us what's on the horizon for WorkWave. Is there anything that you can share with us today regarding some like new developments or future goals?
Yeah, boy, it depends what industry you're in, because each of the industries is supported by a platform, and then those platforms that your listeners will be familiar with, like PestPack, Real Green, Team Software, Win Team, et cetera. They are all unified behind the scenes. So we just completed the last release of the best payments related functionality in the industry. So now, if you're on WorkWave technology, you can take Apple Pay, Google Pay, pay by text, check scanning in the field, just like you would get with Bank of America. We just finished the wave of that. And now we're moving not just to constantly build out the features and functions in the platform, but the next big thing we have on the horizon is a unified communication center, so that when a customer calls you and you close the deal, it stores it. But if they email you, or they text you, or they chatbot you, or they go on Facebook, Instagram, all of those communications come together in a central, let's call it inbox. And then the customer service rep or the business owner themselves or the technician can look at the communication trail, and they're not seeing only a piece of the picture. They're seeing the whole relationship. And then they know right away when somebody calls, they're going to be upset because this problem wasn't solved. So we're really looking forward to that coming out. It's coming out this year. We also, you're going to see very, very soon, maybe next week or the week after, we launch our first credit card that's fully integrated into the technology, because WorkWave is one of the largest companies in the country that underwrites the risk of our customers. Wow. So we underwrite and hold the risk just like a bank or a credit card processor would. And we have about 10,000 customers. We move billions of dollars. So we're able to leverage that and help small business owners, especially in ways that they couldn't. This is not like Rent-A-Kill or Allied, who get discounts and stuff, because they have buying power. A small business doesn't. So a small business owner, for example, can't even sometimes get credit in the business's name. And if that business starts to go south, it can ruin their personal credit rating. Their credit card costs go up, their loan goes up, their mortgage, their kids' college gets more expensive. I mean, these are things that can hurt a family for decades. Mm-hmm. So we're able to deliver a small business credit card in the business's name so that they can establish strong credit for their business, even if they have bad credit or no credit right now. And we can do that because they're our customers. We believe in them. We know whether or not they're doing good or bad. And we're able to give them that foundation so that they're not going to run into problems with their personal credit. They're not a target of predatory lending. All these things that small businesses can get impacted by. So this is the first financial service that we're going to offer to our customers. And it feels good to me because there's no other program out there like it. There's no software company that's looking out for their customers and saying, look, there's a real world problem here. You can't get credit. You can't make your life cheaper and easier because you don't have the scale. Nobody trusts you. You're 50% of the time you're out of business in a year. But WorkWave can do it as their trusted partner and give small businesses the ability to compete with mid-size and large companies in their same geography. And I think that's kind of what I love to say is our mission for the small business: be the good champion and make the playing field level. Give them technology that allows them to compete with the biggest player in their local town. And let's return service to what it always should have been. The best service should win and get that customer as a repeat customer. And it doesn't matter if you're a national brand or somebody locally. And if you're on WorkWave technology, that's what we try to do, as well as have them beat everyone that's not on WorkWave technology. So
I can't even tell you how inspiring that is as like a business venture from a tech partner, to really believe in your customers enough to help them stay afloat in order to like grow their business. And I talk about this all the time is what I'm focused on most in my day-to-day is parity between people who want to go out and improve their lives and grow their business and make a living and like the big brands, right? If you want to go out into business because, you're an entrepreneur, you have that spirit, you have that drive, and you want to put food on the table for your family. it shouldn't be so hard to do it. That's why I love what I do, is I can confidently tell my customers that, listen, you can make a substantial investment in your business because I'm going to answer your phone calls. I'm going to help you pick up those new clients, and you won't have to, we can be the backbone for your new customer intake. Right. And we create parity in that way. So I find it so inspiring that that feature is coming out. So that feels like a good, inspiring place to stop. So David, I'd like to seriously thank you for joining me on the show today. Thank you to all of our listeners. We hope and assume that you enjoyed this conversation. We'll be back with another episode of Business Savvy soon. Be sure to check out previous episodes of our show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and the Ring Savvy YouTube channel. Links to WorkWave and all of the individual platforms that they have to offer for the different verticals that you might be in will be in the description of this podcast or video. David, thanks again.
Good to meet you, Nick. Happy to support you anytime.